हेलो।
जो उसको डालो दिखा है ना भाई कहाँ
Very good morning, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Hi, Priya.
Hello, ma'am. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I made you the host for the meeting so that, like, if there is any kind of access, like, thing or activity, you are able to do it
Sorry,
from
one
your.
second. I think I'm not able to hear you very clearly. Come again?
Yeah, ma'am. Now am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I was saying that I've given you the host access for the meeting. Like, if there is any kind of mute unmute thing, like learners can do themselves, but like उनके end से अगर वो नहीं कर पा रहे, so you can even mute unmute them. Plus, अगर कोई activity है, you have the breakout rooms as well and everything, so you have that access from your side.
Okay.
And meanwhile, in the chat box, I'm dropping you my contact number just in case, like if there is any kind of tech issue, do let me know. I'll just raise it to the tech support or something so that they can help us in resolving that.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Priya.
You're welcome, ma'am. Ma'am, with respect to the end session polls, actually, I just wanted your consent on one thing. Like the schedule, like the time which is given for the session end to me is 12:30. Like the session ends at 12:30. So, ma'am, if you allow, I can just pop in the session at 12:15 or 12:30. I can just do the poll stuff and we can carry on from where we left. Is that
Okay.
fine by you, ma'am?
Fine, fine.
Sure, ma'am. I'll just then come by 12:15 or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
So I think there are still people to join in, right? There are a total of 38 people in the class.
Ma'am, till now, I guess we have 20 people. Ma'am, if you wish to
So
like,
18 more people are yet to join. It's
okay,
already
ma'am.
11. I'll wait for the others to join in, or maybe I think I should just start because I really want to respect the 20 of them who have joined right on time. Hmm?
Welcome,
Uh,
ma'am.
yeah.
As
Good morning, Anu. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for logging in right on time and being in here. Welcome to this course on brand communication management. Um, and we are very excited to have you here. And I do know the kind of sessions which are planned for you are very exciting. So here we go. So first of all, as you know, today we are doing this fundamentals of branding class, right? Um, Good morning, everybody, and welcome. And feel free to keep your videos on and audios muted unless you're speaking. Okay, wonderful. So, I'm of course looking at the chats for any kind of messages you're putting in at all. Um, Let me start with a small experience that I've had in a small town in France. Okay, I'll start with that narration of that experience for a purpose, and then let's begin. Hmm? So this was, I think, 2009 sometime. I'd been to a conference in Paris, and then I traveled to Poitiers to have some interactions regarding the exchange program, which was there with SM University in that place. Okay, our students were a part of the exchange program in that university. So I had some interactions lined up. So I went to this small town. I knew that the small town did not know the concept of vegetarian food. I was told about that in advance. Okay. And I'm a vegetarian by choice as well. So once I reached the place, we had a lunch meeting. And of course, there was one person who I knew very well. And this person was a faculty who had visited Micah, and he knew that there could be people who are vegetarian and could not eat meat, or sometimes wouldn't like to eat egg as well. And he knew that this background. He was very busy on that day, so we were meeting directly for lunch along with a couple of people who were there for the meeting. So we all reached the restaurant, and we thought first we'll get done with ordering of food and then start the meeting. So everybody started ordering. Then the minute ordering began, so I looked at the menu. Of course, there was nothing vegetarian there. So I said, Eric, I'm a vegetarian. Hope you remember that. So he suddenly was like, kind of, I could see his face going pale. He said, okay, we'll do something. And then he and another colleague of his huddled with the people in the restaurant, and they tried explaining. And this conversation did not stop. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 45 minutes they took to have an interaction about what could be made which is vegetarian. They could not understand that they could be only vegetables and bread that could be, they could make something out of it, minus the meat. So finally, they came back to me with a request saying, if you don't mind, will you please eat something made of egg? I said, okay, because definitely cakes and all I eat out of egg, or omelets once in a while I do eat. So I said, that's okay with me. And then we finally had our lunch and everything, and we finished the meeting. The next day morning, I was supposed to get back, and in the evening, I was just strolling around in the small streets there, and of course, beautiful small restaurant and lovely places to have coffee and cakes, right? And also, if you eat other things, non-veg food as well. So then suddenly I chanced upon a outlet which read McDonald's. The minute I saw McDonald's, I felt like as though I found a long lost friend. Okay. The reason being, it's not that I'm a fan of McDonald's, but the minute I saw McDonald's, I felt I can relate to this outlet, and I can walk into that store and ask people to kind of just give me the just take off the meat and let the vegetables be there in the burger and give it to me. I thought I could communicate that to them much more in an easier fashion, because it's a global brand and so on and so forth. So this kind of makes us realize that familiarity breeds confidence for brands. Because when you see a brand that is familiar, that even though I'm not a great fan of McDonald's food, but I love the brand, the way they have kind of grown. I love the fact that there is familiarity with the brand, and hence there was familiarity that breeds confidence. So the first learning about branding is awareness. If awareness is limited, then the element of building confidence with the brand is also limited, right? So I hope you understood. Guys, you're able to hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am. Clearly, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful.
Clearly.
Yes, ma'am.
Great, great, wonderful. Because I couldn't see any messages, no audio, no videos on, nothing. So I was like wondering, am I talking to myself or the class? Thank you, guys. So that's the first message. Okay, familiarity builds confidence. Whereas there's a proverb, right, which says familiarity breeds contempt. Remember,
Yes.
it says when you're involved with the people for a very long time, you're meeting somebody for a very long time, and then suddenly you start cribbing. That is, so familiarity breeds contempt is a proverb which exists, but for brands it's familiarity breeds confidence. Okay, the first learning take home from this little story that I narrated to you. Now let's get to some really fundamentals, really basic stuff. Okay. I know you have an understanding of what is branding, what is marketing, what is advertising, but I just want to hear from a couple of you. What according to you is marketing? What according to you is branding? What according to you is advertising? In your own words, no definitions and all. You can tell me in your own words. Either you can volunteer or I'll cold call. The ones who have not switched on their videos are the ones who are likely to be cold called. So I'll suddenly see people switching on videos.
I would like to take
Yeah,
a go at it.
Prasanna, were you speaking?
Am I audible?
Yeah, I think, yeah, maybe you should switch off your video and speak. Yeah, otherwise there was the communication, the video and audio were not in sync with each other. Prasanna. Go ahead. Prasanna, I think you've muted your audio as well, so we can't hear you.
Okay, I will take a go at the marketing branding difference.
Okay, go ahead.
I would say branding is born as soon as the product is conceived or imagined, but marketing is a bigger umbrella that encompasses branding and drives the whole sale and foresees the sale. So marketing is a bigger umbrella, but branding is like the alter ego for the product, soul of the product.
Okay, and what's advertising?
Advertising is another component under marketing umbrella that drives and peddles branding and peddles marketing. I mean, maybe my understanding could be wrong, but that's my understanding.
No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. I think all of us have some understanding, some part of the elephant we can always touch, right? So that you did. Very good. Thank you. Gurjot, I think I saw Gurjot also attempting to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
hi everyone. So, I think branding is more about the concept called why we do that, and marketing is more about how we do that. And advertising is a part where it's a part of marketing only, on which tells us how we are marketing the product. Like that's the main crux of like branding, marketing, and advertising, what I think. And yeah, I think branding is more of a macro perspective, with marketing being the micro perspective.
You're saying branding is macro?
Branding is macro, and the marketing is more of a micro concept where we take one set of people for the particular product.
Okay, that's a perspective. Maybe you're looking at it from a particular aspect, and hence the branding is macro and marketing is micro, is what you're seeing. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Gurjot, for your perspective. Yeah. I see Anu saying branding is identity, marketing is about selling, advertising is the channel of selling. Interesting. Thank you, Anu.
Yeah. Hi, ma'am.
Yeah, Swapnil, go ahead.
Yeah. So according to me, branding is like by the help of branding, we can get in to the customer's soul and mind, and with a branding, we can attract them towards our product for the buying option. And advertisement is a channel for branding and marketing.
Okay, thank you. That also is a perspective. Thank you so much. Gayatri, you're muted. I think you need to unmute your audio.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I think from my perspective is branding is imprinting the brand's identity into the minds of people. So anytime you suppose, let's say you see a burger, for example, in your example, you will always remember a McDonald's because that brand, or even a cola, so you'll always remember Pepsi or a Coca-Cola. You will not remember any third company. So branding, as per me, is imprinting the identity of a brand into the minds of the consumer. Marketing, I think, like I think Gurjot or the other person said that it's like an umbrella within which advertising and branding are one of the domains. So as per me, advertising is basically deciding how do you want to market your brand, like what would be the procedure and what would be, I mean, how would your brand be placed in the market and how much should your brand be placed in the market, basically the conceptual side of things. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. I think that's further taking it ahead from where Anu left it. Thank you, Gayatri. That was good. Last person, Gauri.
Hi, good morning, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. Yeah.
Okay, so starting with branding, I think branding is the first step to where supposing you launch a product and you want to make it stand out. say you're launching another shampoo brand, and there's so many other shampoo brands in the market, right? But like the first step of branding would be, how would you make that product stand out from rest of the products? And then comes marketing. So marketing is where the second step, where you put that product out to the market and see how you connect with the market, how the market resonates with the product. And then from there you take it to advertising, where you put like say ad films or anything where it reaches a mass, and that is where it converts to sales. And building the brand image then comes back, where you rebrand or something according to how the market would react to the product. So
Thank
that
you, Gauri. Thank you. Yeah, because sometimes you find that there are overlaps in what is happening, right? So you tend to kind of look at them in not in silos, but in slightly more porous boundaries, right? There are porous boundaries between marketing, branding, and advertising. Thank you, Shiv Saran and Errol, for your inputs. I think everybody can read what they have mentioned. Thank you very much. So, Prasanna, I think, is already spoken, right?
Yeah, but one last take. I would like one more take.
Okay.
I think branding is the inward character and marketing is the outward personality.
Okay. Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you for the last effort that you made to once again rephrase what you had said earlier. Thank you. So, sometimes what happens is when you look at these terms, which feels like as though it's like water is wet kind of a thing. Why are you asking me this? I know that very well. It feels right. But when we are asked to clearly define what they are or tell what they are, you'll be able to say what it is, but you'll touch one part of the elephant, right? So, absolutely, each of you, what you've said, you've done a good job of giving your perspective of what this means. But if I were to look at what is branding, it's also a mix of what you guys have mentioned. But branding essentially is something that is formed in the mind of the customer, right? At the end of the day, there's an image that is formed in the mind of the customer. Many of you said that it's the soul and heart of the soul and heart of the reason why a person buys a brand, right? You all have said that. So that is what is a brand. A branding process is something which is long term, but it is built so that there is a sustainable source of revenue for the company. Because once it becomes a soul and heart of a customer, the customer will continue to engage with the brand, buy the brand, consume the brand, and that becomes a source of revenue for the company over a period of time, right? So branding is not in just in thin air. It's not about just I only love the brand, but I'm not buying it ever. It shouldn't be that. There should be a consumption-oriented inclination towards the brand, right? So this entire branding process is done to grow brand equity. So create brand equity, grow brand equity, and maintain brand equity. Okay, and why brand equity? Because brand equity is the strength. It's a strength the brand has in comparison to the competitors, right? And that's the reason why the brand value is high, right? Brand value, of course, is a monetary term, whereas brand equity could be a rank, could be a quantitative term, which indicates strength in comparison to competition. So branding is measured in terms of brand equity or brand value. So when you're looking at branding process, you need to grow brand equity, you need to grow brand value. Why? Because it should give you a sustainable source of revenue. That is what is the entire process involved in doing this is branding. So now when we're talking about the broader umbrella, which is marketing, marketing is a field of study of exchange. Like how if you talk about chemistry as a subject, if you see, it's a study of substance, right? Because you study chemicals, right? And reactions and all. So marketing is a study of exchange. So what is an exchange? Something that's of value. Okay, something that's of value is an exchange between the consumer and between the buyer and the seller. Okay, so essentially the function of marketing is creating value, delivering value, and communicating value. Because as some of you rightly said, marketing is a broader umbrella. It is selling. It's not selling. In fact, many a times marketing and selling are two different things. But marketing discipline, if you're talking about, of course, selling is a subset of marketing. Okay. So marketing is essentially creating value, delivering value, communicating value. Okay. In simple three phrases, if we were to say what's marketing. Okay. And finally, what is advertising? Advertising is the medium through which you communicate the brand to the customers. The marketing communication. The marketing communication is advertising. Okay. So advertising uses media vehicles to communicate the message. The creative, the way in which it is communicated, all of that is advertising. So advertising is marketing communication, okay, to reach the customers. So now you would clearly know broadly what is branding, what is advertising, and what is marketing communication. So now I'll ask you the next question. Today we are in this digital world, and also thanks to the pandemic, we've all gotten a lot more comfortable interacting in the digital space, right? Buying things from Zepto, Blinkit, and name the social market, I mean the online marketplaces, we are very comfortable, and many of us probably have stopped going to physical stores, right? Why did that happen overnight? Would that have happened? Not if you were a Gen X or especially if you're a Gen X or older, it wouldn't have happened. Gen Y, Gen Z understand convenience is something which is at the top of your mind, and you are digital natives. So it's easy to get there. But for older folks as well, and everybody to get used to this technology and all the nuances around it and get comfortable with it, is something which is commendable that it has happened, because you're not stepping out and you needed stuff and all, right? So now what has been happening is, when you're looking at marketing, branding, advertising, there is tech involved everywhere, right? So the question comes in that what we mentioned about what is marketing, what is branding, and what's advertising. You put them in the digital world, call them as MarTech, BrandTech, AdTech. Does it change the meaning of what we spoke as to what is branding, what is marketing, what is advertising? And if it doesn't change, what changes? Why? What would be the difference between traditional marketing and MarTech? What would be the difference between traditional branding and BrandTech? What would be the difference between traditional advertising and AdTech? Yeah, Niharika, go ahead.
Ma'am, I'm really sorry, I'm not able to switch on my video. There seems to be a connection issue. But according to me, the changes that happen
A
as
little louder, no? I think the problem is at my end, audibility, and my
okay.
earbuds.
Could be my end, ma'am. There's a connection issue. Am I audible now? Hello?
Hello?
Ma'am, am I audible now?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yes.
Yes. Ma'am, the biggest change that I see that happens when we move to a digital space is the channel of the communication that changes, according to me. The basics would probably remain the same. We would probably use the same frameworks that we used to do research and to understand the consumer and the branding bit. But the channel of the message is what changes, according to me, the max stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, Niharika. Wonderful. So the fundamentals remain the same. Okay, what we talked about, what is marketing, what is branding, and what is advertising, we talked of fundamentals, right? The fundamental principles of these concepts is what we talked of, and those remain the same. What changes when we add tech is the tools that are used to execute change. Okay, MarTech, BrandTech, AdTech, the tools that are used to execute change. We'll talk about in a bit. Sandeepan, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to add that with the new age technologies coming in digital, maybe the communication becomes more focused and the communication becomes trackable, if I may use the word trackable. Let's say in conventional advertising, it is a blanket communication and we don't know where it is going to. We cannot track how many people has got the communication. However, with the new age digital means, we can track exactly where our communication is leading to, and we can track the return on our investments as well. I thought that maybe this is a change.
Yeah, of course, this is a good difference and that you've identified. Absolutely right, Sandeepan. So the tools are different, right? Because the tools are different, these are the advantages of the tools that are different. Absolutely right. Thanks, Sandeepan. So clearly, we do see that the tools are different, right? So when we are talking about MarTech, you do have service automation, marketing automation, all these automations that have helped create a lot of facilitation for the marketing companies as well as the customers, right? So over a period of time, the service automation is something which has helped track what's happening in the earlier days prior to 1990s. Probably you could never track a shipment so well, right? Not all companies had this facility of tracking the shipment. Right now, you order food, you know exactly where the guy is with your delivery, and you know that, right? This is thanks to service automation, which is there. And within companies as well, there is Salesforce automation. So we know very well that companies where every day you had to fill in reams of paper indicating what you had done so that you can get your reimbursement at a certain level. All that is completely automated. You don't need to touch base at your office on an everyday basis. So all these kind of developments are thanks to automation bit, which is the tech part of MarTech. Okay, so market automation, service automation, Salesforce automation, all of that has come into existence. Whereas the entire purpose, fundamental purpose of marketing continues to be creating value, delivering value, and communicating value. But the tools are now tech. It's not the traditional tools. Many of the tools have been replaced by the tech, right? Now, what is brand tech? So brand tech, again, the fundamentals remain the same. You're doing everything to enhance brand equity, grow brand equity, grow brand value and all of that. But what changes there? Branding opportunities are at the point where the brand meets the customer or the customer meets the brand, right? At all points where the customer has an opportunity to meet the brand, there is a space for branding. You go on Google, start searching for say laptop, and you look up for Dell, and then you just ask for information. The bot there gives you all information, and without being intrusive and nagging you. Whenever you've asked for information, they give you the information and help you in the process in case if you're further interested to know, right? So then what happens? It leaves you with a good taste and a good feeling about the brand, right? So that is where the branding starts happening. So anything that is happening at the interface, at the tech interface, I'm talking about Google, because these days, first thing that we do when we have to buy any brand, or the first idea or any kind of a thought comes in that you need something, voice search, image search, or word search is what you do, and you experience something, right? So when you experience something, that is branding. Right from there to the purchase to logistics and delivery as well, right? So even when, say, for instance, something is being delivered, it comes on time, you're thrilled. It says 20 minutes, and by 11 minutes, if it reaches home, you are thrilled. Right now, we're talking just as a consumer. Of course, when you're talking, putting yourself in the shoes of just a consumer, if this information comes to you that this particular company is really very bad to these employees, and they actually juggle quite a lot and risk their lives before coming to your doorstep, of course there is a debit on your perception of the brand, right? Because right now all of us are woke consumers, because we are looking at apart from what is it that you benefit, in that benefit, it is kind of mixed and very, very integrated with how the company treats its employees, how sustainable they are, and these kind of things are very, very important, right? So this aspect which is there is what is branding. So there are a lot of tools that have come in there. Drones going and delivering things, and if it's a seamless effort, something which is new, which catches the eye and the heart, mind and soul of the consumer, that does create a branding experience, and hence brand tech. Okay, but what was being done in the past was through different medium with different tools, but the fundamental purpose of branding continues to be the same. But tech has, of course, revolutionized the entire space. That is where we need to understand the digital branding process and all of that. Okay. And finally, ad tech. What is ad tech? Purpose of ad tech again is the same, marketing communication, which is there. Okay. But the tech bit again is heavily revolutionized, because maybe, say, for instance, in programmatic advertising, you don't need to do anything manual, right? It typically helps you understand the entire media buying or media planning through programmatic advertising. Creative choice and predicting the probability of how the customer will respond, all that is taken care in reams of data that is used to arrive at various kind of softwares that are used in ad tech. Okay, so that's again, the process is also revolutionized to a great extent in ad tech. So we did marketing, branding, advertising, and MarTech, brand tech, ad tech. So we know with tech, the tools, even though you feel that the fundamentals are big and tools were small, but fundamentals are small, which remains the same. The tools are so convenient and so much of change they've brought in. So they've revolutionized the broad understanding of the discipline without making a change to the main objective or the fundamentals. That's something which you should keep in mind. Okay. So is that clear and understandable to everybody? Any questions there or comments? Okay. I'm going to...
I'm just super excited. I'm learning this from you, ma'am. I'm just super excited. I'm learning this from you. This is finally happening. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Feels good to know that it's exciting for you. Okay, so now let's move to interesting task ahead. So what is this interesting task that we are going to look at? I'll ask you to pick a brand, or maybe I will pick a brand, and I want you to spend 2-3 minutes first on a piece of paper or on your mobile or laptop or something, and write down what words come to your mind when you think about the brand. Okay, take 2-3 minutes, just 2-3 minutes, and don't Google search and all. Okay, not permitted to do Google search. What comes to your mind when I utter this brand name? Okay, Maggi. I'll mention 4 brand names. You can take any one of them. Maggi, Netflix, Thar, Vicks Action 500.
Ma'am, which was the one you mentioned before Vicks?
It was Thar.
Oh.
Maggi, Netflix, Thar, Vicks Action 500. I'm going to put it on the chat.
Thar as in the car, ma'am?
Yes. Mahindra's car. Yes. Guys, can you hear me well now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful, thank you.
Ma'am, you are in mode.
So yes, I said agreed, Karthik and what you've mentioned. But I just wait for another minute or so for everybody to finish the jotting down. In case if you have written down for more than one brand, like what Sangeeta has mentioned, that's fine.
I think out of all of these brands, Maggie is something which has some emotional quotient with us, right? It's more of a love, a family, a 2 minute noodle ready to make, and more bachelor friendly, I would say.
Now, I think those who are not bachelors here, who are also completely hooked to Maggie,
Yeah.
say, no, we have grown with Maggie into families as well. It's what you would
Yeah.
say. Yeah, I see Karthik saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a lot of emotional quotient. Even when Maggie was banned for some time, we were like, there was a hashtag which was going on, hashtag we miss Maggie. So I think Maggie has created that brand level in itself that it is so connected to people.
Yes, yes. So now, I think people have all done their bit. So let's start with Rujot. I don't want sentences now. Rujot, thanks for starting this conversation. But right now, I want you can pick any of the four or just one. Choice is yours. Whoever I pick, the same thing. You have to just mention some words, no sentences. Just mention some words. Maggie, what comes to your mind?
Maggie, emotional. Thar being strong. Netflix being quality content. And Vicks being stress relief, maybe.
Relief.
Relief.
Relief. Okay, interesting. Thanks, Gurjot. So, Akshay, I'll just take, I know there are a lot of people, very interesting words you've mentioned on the chat as well. But I'll just pick some of the others who have not mentioned on the chat. Yes, Gayatri? She's mentioned. Yes, go ahead.
So basically for Maggie, I think like he rightly said, 2 minute noodles is the first thing that comes to your mind. Netflix is also, like everyone said, entertainment drama. But for Vicks Action 500, the one thing that I think they're trying to advertise is something in the lines of mom's care, or you feel the presence of your mom when you're looking at the brand. Basically, if you're away from your family, then it is something like if you can it's easily available and it's easily usable, and it's a quick fix basically.
Yeah, that's interesting. I will get back to you on Vicks Action 500, Gayatri.
Yeah.
Yeah. Farah?
Hi everyone. I actually agree with Gayatri because I have also written Vicks as mom as my word. For Maggie, comfort and home comes to my mind. Netflix is obviously chill. Thar is strong and tough. So these are my.
Okay, wonderful. So interesting. Vicks Action 500, mom comes to your mind then. Gayatri also similar. Interesting. Niharika?
Ma'am, I've also taken Maggie. I think all of us must have taken Maggie as one of our brands. The words that come to my mind are convenience, taste. Some different words that also come to my mind would be hills and versatile, like it can be made into multiple dishes. And of course, for Thar, the words that come into my mind are adventure, edgy, rugged.
Yes, that's right. So, guys, you have to just give me a minute. I'll just back. I think somebody is at the door. I will have to step out for a bit. Just a minute, okay? Yeah. Guys, apologies for stepping out of the class for a bit. Sorry. Yeah. So that was interesting. The way you kind of recollect stuff. Sandeep, go ahead.
So, ma'am, I think for Maggie, it's like yummy and very versatile, ready to eat. For Thar, obviously, it's adventure, it's class, it's robustness. For Vicks, ma'am, I would feel something like a cool effect. Yeah. And for obviously Netflix, it's all films, and only films.
Good. So I've looked up what you've mentioned even on the chat. So clearly, I do see specific words is what I'm looking at, and I'm kind of seeing that almost everyone has got a certain kind of a description of the brand which is there, which is thanks to what? How did you imagine that this brand is like this? How do you think you kind of imagine these kind of associations with the brand, with the product and the brand? How did you imagine these associations? Let's go with Vicks. Let me start with Gayatri. I think Gayatri and Niharika both mentioned Vicks Action, right?
Right.
Yeah. Why did you associate mom and something which away from home? Some that bit was there, right?
Right. So, whenever you see any marketing or any advertisement basically for Vicks, you'll always see, first of all, a family setup. Secondly, you will see that, they are also trying to show that the mother is absent somehow. So the father or the person who's alone is trying to use Vicks, and the mother also is suggesting them to use Vicks because it's like the most safest option that the parent considers for the child. So that is the idea of, that is basically their idea to propagate the brand, that it's very less risky, easily available, and it's the first instance to go to Vicks in case you have cold, fever, etc. Like you can take any medicines, but Vicks is necessary because that's what your family says.
Okay. Niharika? And for her also, I'd like to.
Ma'am, I didn't mention Vicks, but I think it's very interesting because I remember the earlier ads showed the mother, and then they sort of changed their positioning and they started showing the other family members who were kind of using Vicks. Earlier, I remember there were a few ads in which only the mother was using Vicks.
Are you sure it was the ad of Vicks? Was it the Vicks Action 500 or you're talking about Vicks Vapor Up?
I think Vicks Vapor Up, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why I
I
was like,
think.
where are you getting this mom and all of that? I was wondering. Yeah. Look at the Vicks is there on,
Yeah.
because there's something else when it comes to Vicks Action 500. Instant relief also can come there, but there are a couple of other things. So maybe I think, see, Vicks, the minute Vicks was mentioned, there was an extension in your own mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you assumed Vicks Vapor Up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So look at this. Please note this. I think it's a very interesting observation. The way in which your mind has kind of been wired to kind of just look at what is visible and make a perception about that, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
would that mean that the recall value of Vaporub will be more impressive rather than Vicks Action?
I mean, it's not impressive. It's about Vicks Action 500 is not necessarily advertised, right? It's the over-the-counter drug, right? And also for a short while it was banned, if you remember.
Oh yeah, yes,
right? So Vicks Action 500 for a while it was not available even in chemist stores, right? In the chemist it was not available, and now of course it is available. But Vicks Action 500 is not as widely communicated through marketing channels as it is for Vicks Vapor Up. So the mom bit and all of that is Vicks Vapor Up, right?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So one last question, Farah. Was this, you followed the trip that Gayatri went into?
Yes, totally. I thought Vicks as Vicks Vapor Up. My bad.
Yeah. No, it's not bad. It's a function of, it's a learning. Okay. So tomorrow, in case if you were in a, if you are a part of, say, marketing of Vicks Vapor Up, so you know that you're a kind of an anchor brand for everything Vicks, right?
Yeah.
Because that's so powerful, and it's for instant relief also. The minute you have a throat problem, congestion, mom applying Vicks Vapor Up to you does all the good, right? So you will see, if you want to kind of ensure that there is a positiveness that is kind of transferred to Vicks Action 500, but you don't want anything negative there to transfer to Vicks Vapor Up. Okay, that is something which you want to be conscious of, right? So it's a useful exercise for us to know, because now let's go to the simpler ones and come back to Vicks in a bit. Maggie, from where on earth did all of you start saying hostel? Maggie is food, yeah? And it needs some equipment to make Maggie also, right? Of course, 2 minutes noodle with hot water, you can make, that's a different thing which is there. Look at the kind of fast to cook, easy to eat, all-time favorite snack. In the world of kind of things which are there, Maggie gets this kind of a recollection. Nobody mentioned Nestle. Nobody mentioned Kit Kat, which is in the same family, right? And somebody did mention about the lead content or the crisis, but you didn't say anything bad about it. Oh, it's unhealthy, you didn't say. You did say that in spite of the crisis, people got back and consumed. You talked about all of that. So only it's love and a kind of connection, which is like, I can't live without you, friend. It's something like that, right? From where did this all happen for Maggie? Question mark. I leave this question right now. Thar. I think on the roads, if you're seeing right now, there is too much of Mahindra Thar, right? And the colors are really gorgeous. And of course, they look rugged, strong, and 4x4 looks like a 4-wheel drive. The minute you look at it, you want to get into a jungle safari, right? It kind of thinks that you're on a holiday. You can't probably go in a Thar to office. Is there anybody who has a Thar here and you drive Thar to the office? I think it feels so false with it, right? You feel that, Shiv Sharan drives Thar to office.
I own a Thar, but I'm working from home, so unfortunately, I get to use it only on the weekends.
Wow, so you're rightly using it as required. What color Thar do you have?
Red.
Red one. Wow. Yeah. The red, green, black, all of them really look gorgeous, right? A good choice, Shiv Sharan. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you, man.
At some point, I felt that I should buy a Thar, but I was like not really sure if every day going to the office, I can land into the office at work. I would rather just drive somewhere and go on a holiday. I felt. So where do we think about Thar the way we are thinking of holiday, jungle safari? Why 4-wheel drive, 4x4 makes us think of all different things? There's some connection that is being built with something else. From where is it coming? That's a question. The last one, let's look at Netflix. Films, something which is quality. These are kind of things that you have said, right? What is entertainment, binge-worthy content, Kinjal has said, excitement, then somebody else has said chill. So I think, all the right kind of words again are there next to Netflix. So where are we getting all of these? Any idea what are the prices of, what do you pay for each of them? What does the smallest pack of Maggi cost?
10 or 12.
10 rupees, yeah.
10 rupees. Okay.
Yeah.
How much does right now Netflix cost?
4.99.
1.9.
199. 199 for.
Yes.
I think 149 is also there now.
For mobile, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But if for a screen, if you're buying, then it's either 699. It starts from 499 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's there. And this 199 also happened very recently, right? Otherwise, till before it was a totally different thing. And right now we are already on an edge because right now we do know amongst family members we share the Netflix account, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe with friends as well. Sharing happens. But over a period of time, we really don't know whether it will be the same or not, right? That's something which we know. I'll park that information. What is the price of Thar? We get straight away our shift.
15 lakhs.
15 lakhs. Okay. But nobody said the most expensive car that you did say. There are things that were talked. Netflix also, you didn't talk about expensiveness, but you talked about quality, right? And what about mix action 500? A strip of mix action 500? When I come to collect.
5 rupees or something.
5 for a strip?
No, not for a strip. Strip maybe for 60. I actually don't know, but it may be for 40 to 60 rupees.
Okay. Somebody can Google and let me know in case it's available on Google. What is the price of a strip?
Yeah, it's 40.
40? Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. Thank you. So you are very close, Gayatri. Good job of arriving at a figure. Excellent. So we talked about price. Now, most of you have consumed at least the 3 of the products which are here, and the only one is Thar Shiv 7. But we've seen the ads, and we almost feel we know the brand because we are seeing it on the road every day. If you're involved in, you kind of are inclined towards it, then you know a little more about it, and it's a perception about the brand. Whether you like it or not, you can mention those associations about the brand, right? So there is an impact of the ads that you have seen about each of these ads. I mean, each of these brands, right? You've seen the marketing communication for each of them, and there is an impact. Distribution at the distribution outlet for Maggi, or for that matter, if there is a Mahindra Thar on the roads and they mention about, or you've gone to the Mahindra dealership for something, and then if you've seen this, you have information. But I think the promotion and the product has done a major impact for your perception about the brand, right? Product, you've seen them on the roads. And communication in terms of promotion, all the ads that you've seen have talked quite a lot about the product to you, right? So basically, all the brand associations that you mentioned are a figment of your imagination, which is fueled by the marketing mix elements. What are the marketing mix elements? product, price, place, promotion. For service, you would probably talk about people, physical evidence, and process. Right? Familiar? All of you are familiar with this, right? So if you're talking
Yes, ma'am.
about, yeah. So when you're talking about any kind of a marketing strategy for a brand, you essentially talk about how to execute it, right? Execution is in terms of what's the product, putting it together, what is the, how do you promote it, what's the pricing, and where do you make it available for the customers. In case it's a service, if people are involved and it's got a component of service, how are the people going to interact with you? But for a product like Netflix, has anybody interacted with any person who is working with Netflix when you've had a problem or anything? Please raise your hands. Was there ever a need? Was there ever a problem due to which you had to get in touch with them, and who connected with you? Nobody had a problem also with Netflix. Fantastic. Yeah, Sondra. You had a problem.
Yeah, actually, it happened few months back that suddenly I saw that my account, all the shows which I continue to watch or I have selected in my list, they're all gone for some reason.
Okay.
And I was like, what is happening? So I had to call this Netflix person and ask that what is the reason for this. So then he said that maybe it's your connection. Try changing your Wi-Fi to your mobile connection or either way of it. That's why it's happening, because I can see these are all available. So that was one of the reasons.
Okay. Who did you talk to?
How
did you access?
Through customer care first, then they transferred it to their some other department where they program or something, some other
So
department.
you actually physically spoke to somebody over the phone?
Yes, I did.
Okay. This is, and where did you find the number, the customer service number?
Internet.
Sorry?
Internet.
Okay. Interesting. Because thanks Sondra for sharing that, and she said a few months ago, right? In fact, I remember. Yeah. Thank you. So a few years ago, I think for me, a few years ago, there was a additional charge in my account. They charged me during a time period when I had stopped the connection. So I got back to them. There was no number or anything. Of course, a chatbot appeared, some Jenny appeared, and of course there was an interaction. So well, they kind of solved it for me. Okay, but I interacted with the chatbot. There was no number at all to interact with somebody in Netflix. So I thought that's really a fantastic way in which they were operating and actually resolving any kind of issue which was there with the process. So there was no need of people there for them. There were employees, but customer interfacing, there weren't people available, like for every service where there is a requirement of people talking, right? That was just not there at all. So that was also kind of experience, so tech had come in there to interact, right? Just digressed a little bit when we were talking about the 4 Ps and 7 Ps as to how the associations for the brand are being made. Like for instance, if it is Thar, I don't know how good or bad the servicing is for Mahindra vehicles. So your perception of the brand after you start using, you will also be, you'll be kind of impacted by the good or bad service, right? Apart from the school image of Thar, the jungly safari image of Thar, rugged image of Thar, you'll also kind of mix it with the kind of service you've had from Thar, right? So the minute the interactions happen, the associations change. Those of you, just based on the product on the roads and the ads, your association and image is different, and some others association and images is slightly different, right? So essentially what we are looking at is the minute a brand is mentioned, the associations are coming from basically the marketing strategy of the brands. How did Apple, mango, banana, when I say apple, what comes to your mind? You don't think about a fruit, right? Mango restaurant is there, a local restaurant is there, and that's also a brand. Banana Republic is a brand. So half the fruits, when I say cherry, maybe to some people cherry polish might come to your mind and not the cherry fruit, right? Half the fruits are taken away by physical products. So, and very easily all of us think about these products when these names are mentioned, isn't it? And very easily there is a movement. If there's an apple on the table, you'll say, give me that apple, and you'll eat. But the minute somebody is talking about apple, you know it's the most valued brand on this earth and the best brand kind of stuff. So easily there is this movement. How is this possible? Because of the marketing strategy. So much of communication saying that the company that owns iPhone is Apple, iPad, iPhone, iPod, all of these are Apple, has made it seamless for you to make this transition in your mind from a fruit to a name of a company, right? So these are a manifestation of the marketing mix elements rightly communicated to customers that brings out these brand associations. So you step into the shoes of a brand manager, you know how powerful are the marketing mix elements, because the marketing mix elements are there interfacing between the brand and the consumer. And that is the way the branding of the product, branding of the product in question happens in the minds of the stakeholders, the consumers, users, potential consumers, and all of that. Okay. So any questions on this? So clearly you have marketing mix elements impacting 4 P's or 7 P's impacting the brands. Okay. So that's the first lesson on fundamentals of branding in terms of understanding a concept, which is brand image. What you just mentioned, the brand associations, they go on to form what is brand image. So what is brand image? Brand image is the way in which a brand is associated by the consumer in their mind. That is what is brand image. Opposite of it is brand identity. Brand identity is something that the company puts together and says, this is what we want the consumer to perceive our brand as. We want our brand to be perceived as cool, intelligent, quirky. This is what the company puts across. That's brand identity. They put it across by the look of the brand, through the pricing, through the promotion, distribution, and everything. They put it across. And in case the consumer perceives it in the same way, then brand identity and brand image are very close to each other. And it means that what you have attempted to communicate to the customers is perceived rightly. But what is attempted to be communicated and what is perceived is very different. So it means you have to go back and relook at your brand identity. If brand image is very different, but the consumers are buying, then you need to tweak a bit your brand identity. But if your brand identity is perceived very differently and it's actually doing bad for the product, then you need to kind of see what's happening. How you've communicated, do you probably need to make a change? You need to kind of check on that as well. Okay. So basic concepts of what is brand identity and brand image is clear to you, and you also know how brand image is formed. Simple way, through a set of associations that you recollect or consumers recollect about the brand. And how do you recollect this? Because of the interface at various points wherever you meet the brand. On Google, on a web page, what others are speaking about it, reviews, pricing says something about it, promotion, you learn about it, distribution outlets, you learn about it. So at every point, you kind of, something that strikes to your mind, that becomes the image about a brand. Okay? Brilliant. So now, I see shifts. brand gives way to marketing strategy, gives way to advertising, which gives an inspirational value to the product and its. Yeah, that's right, Shiv sir.
Ma'am,
So
do you have
now,
any do you have any example where you can recall that first there was some product, they put it up in an image and then they changed it somehow? An example of it? Do you have an example?
yeah, see, image sometimes clearly some of the brands make a change in terms of the name or the color and all of that, right? For various reasons, other reasons as well. Like for instance, UTI became Axis Bank, or ages ago. Long ago, Hutch became Vodafone, Vodafone became Vodafone Idea, then they became V. So you see, when even V was announced, though they are not having a very great market share and not doing well, you saw the kind of advertising that they did for that a week or so. Suddenly, every single channel, regional or national, had the V jingle being played, right? So we overnight, all of us knew what V was. We were not surprised that, okay, what is this V? Till yesterday, I had a Vodafone Idea number. What is this V? We never had that question if we were all educated, right? So that's example of how changes are being made. But yes, sometimes, yeah, a lot of other hero rebranding, Fair and Lovely becoming Glow and Lovely. So all of those are there. But yes, but Gurjot, I think, is asking a question of if the brand identity was not perceived in the way that was attempted, and in case they had to go back and make a change at all, right?
Yeah.
So I have some examples of brands which were really bad, but which of course they didn't make it to begin with that. And of course, Nano is also another example. Now this example which had a, I don't think anybody would have can recollect the brand here because most of you are Gen Z and Gen Y probably. There was this detergent powder called as JVG brand. Okay, none of you will know. Why I'm mentioning this brand is they have a weird promotion. The promotion is they showed a washing machine being thrown from the window of an apartment, saying that JVG brand is so strong that you need to throw away your washing machines. Okay, when there are such strong players in the market like Surf, Ariel, Tide, and all of these, there was this brand saying that you throw away your washing machine and use JVG. Okay, so it seemed, and during that time, I think it was 1990s probably. 1990s, yeah, 1990s. So at that point, even every household did not have a washing machine. The penetration of washing machines in households was relatively lesser. And then they were talking about throwing away the washing machine because it was entering into the market and it was becoming popular. So I think they intended in their communication to say that it's effortless, it doesn't impact the hands and kind of stuff and all of that. But the way in which they put the communication, it perceived like as though it was desperate. If anybody said JVG, you said you're just too desperate, just attention-seeking brand, I don't want to buy you kind of a thing, right? So of course, this brand ceased to exist beyond the point in the memories of people. Okay. So the change that they made is not known. I just take what Sandeepan has to say, and then we'll get back to the example that the class has mentioned of Nano. Yeah, Sandeepan, go ahead.
Ma'am, I just had a query, if I may allow.
Yes, of course.
So this specific example of Vodafone and ultimately coming to V, do you also think that the brand image also suffers if there are recent or plenty of changes, number of changes? Let's say a command to a Hutch, to a Vodafone, to a V. So maybe it has diluted its stand as having a brand which changes too much. Do you think this actually hinders or impacts the brand image and also goes against the brand identity which the brand tries to make?
Sandeepan, not with Hutch, Vodafone, V, because I think they've done it very well. There is no problem with that brand. But if a brand does not do a good job of the kind of movement that has gone through, then I think there will be a confusion in the minds of the consumers. Like for instance, if you look at ITC, the company ITC and the name, long time back it was Imperial Tobacco Company and then India Tobacco Company, and then they became just a name, not an abbreviation, right? So it is ITC now. So but no confusion in anybody's mind, okay? Another thing is I will also talk a little about Mica. Mica, when it was born, it was called as Mudra Institute of Communication, Ahmedabad. Okay, because we were born out of the Mudra Communications ad agency, right? And then over a period of time, the umbilical cord with Mudra Communications, the ad agency ceased to exist after Mudra Communications was taken over by Omnicom, right? So of course we are a part of the trust which is Mudra Foundation, and we renamed ourselves as a name which is Mica, M-I-C-A. Okay, so there's no long form of Mica any longer. So we changed, just before that we changed the logo and all of that. We were 2 triangles, gray and white, and then over a period of time we became red, more energetic, re-energized to do things, and with strategic marketing and communication and all that happened, right? So when it is done well, of course, in today's times, memory is there, because Mudra, people cannot forget it, right? Because we also sometimes mention formally called as Mudra Institute of Communications, Ahmedabad. Because if you just say Mica, sometimes it goes to Maryland Institute of Communication and Arts in the US. It goes to that. There is a long form of that if it's there. Or many a times you just say Mica, you will think whether it's that, the element mica, that, the expensive element mica, you think it's that, right? So there are too many associations, but clearly for people, and this is a niche educational institution you are into, right? Upgrade Mica program. So it needed a bit of talking, and hence Mica, that's where it is. So Sandeepan, hope that answers your question. But if there is a, most of the companies have done a good job of the transition when they have changed the names and all. So Sandeepan, hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So now let's look at this example of Tata Nano. So that Gayatri, yes, go ahead.
I just have one question, ma'am. That do you think that when a company is actually going for a branding policy or deciding how they want to market their brand, so at that time they should place one idea only, that our brand will only cater to this line of audience, or our brand image should be perceived only in this manner? Or sometimes it's better to let the audience decide and evaluate. I mean, there can be multiple. I mean, what would be the best way to go about while you are deciding how to market your brand, basically?
Wonderful question. Thanks for your question, Gayatri. So in fact, earlier times, before the digital media came into existence and marketers started using it prominently, the brand custodian was the company. Because even when you put in information in the media, we were like couch potatoes, we just consumed it, right? And even we had to speak to others, we spoke, only word of mouth was there. I didn't write up an article and send it to Times of India or the Hindu or Deccan Herald to publish my view on a particular brand. We didn't do that, right? No effort, monetarily available resources and the energy to do that. And even if it was done in those times, probably the companies would have sued us for having done it. So now the line of control between the company and the customers is collapsed. So the minute there is an ad somewhere, we pick it up, tweet, write on Facebook, a review, fantastic, I love this brand, and we start kind of talking moments about it. And everybody will read it, they'll make an impression about it, and they'll talk 10 times, and the engagement goes on, and it's like spread like wildfire. Even something which is bad, the same things. Good and bad both happens, right? So the brand custodian has moved to the customer to a very large extent. But this doesn't say that the company should leave it open and let the consumers evaluate. No, you have to have a direction, and you can monitor how the customers think and talk as well. Because if you don't do that, it will be directionless and you will have no control over it. Already there is less control when you are putting out things out there because the line of control has collapsed. But at least there should be directions. Like for instance, Dove had put in this ad, I think this was 2006 or something, called as the Dove Evolution. Do you remember having seen this ad? Should I show you that ad? And then I'll show you a parody which somebody has done. Look, and then I'll tell you the results. Okay, just give me a moment. I'll just show you this ad. Makes sense. So all of you can see my screen.
Silence! Please wait for your turn.
What happened, sir? What happened? कुछ नहीं हो सकता.
So now I'll show another ad. See this ad. Okay, you saw two ads, right? The first one, Dove put it, okay? And you know what Dove stands for, how they are, pro every single person. They don't take models and all and kind of talk about them or something, right? They talk about real beauty, which is there within you and not outside on your skin, right? So rightly so. The second ad was done by somebody random, okay? So now first ad when it was released, of course, it had a wide coverage. Some million people watched it, and whenever you look at the return on investment on an ad, you look at the sales before the ad, sales after that. There was a high which was there, or maybe engagement or awareness. You measure. These are the ways in which you measure the benefit to the brand post and pre and post the ad, right? So it was positive. And then there was this slog evolution that somebody made it and put it across, saying that nonsense, which they said. It was like problematic, but it was not something which was to kind of troll them or something. But yes, they put in a kind of a googly there, right? Thank God life is distorted and nobody wants to look at ugly people. Are there any ugly people? Yes, terrorists are ugly people, clearly, right? That's how everybody looks at it, right? So in that sense, what happened after the second one was put in by just some general janta. Okay, what happened was people kind of became stronger in what Dove says. Okay, they used this to get more stronger in Dove's philosophy that thank God that the idea of beauty is distorted and you need to get to real women and real beauty. So people became stronger there, and this conversation only made a positive difference to all the metrics that Dove looked at post this campaign as well. Okay, so for the question that Gayatri asked, if there's a clear direction of the brand, so it means if anybody comes and says anything about the brand, people also do look at what the brand is, and there will be fans and there will be haters. Apple has got a hate club, right? Harley Davidson has got a hate club. So all the cult brands also have a hate club and a fan club. So the minute something happens, you will say that, okay, this is what I stand for. I will stand for this brand is what you'll say, right? Like for example, when you mentioned Maggie, many of you, you kind of just swept the crisis under the carpet. Lead is not good for health. But you clearly said, in spite of the crisis, we love the brand. I love, this is what I recollect, because you are a advocate of Maggie. Okay, we are all advocates of Maggie, whoever loved Maggie, right? So if there's a distortion by any stakeholder, you kind of overlook that and you'll drive it towards the positive way. And how did that imagination of the brand come in? Marketing strategy by Nestle. Gayatri, does that help? I'm sure you've asked this for maybe a startup, smaller brand, or even a bigger brand strategically. They should actually have a identity, or should it evolve from the customers you asked. So now here's a catch. When identity is made, it's not just people sitting in ivory towers don't build the identity. You will go to the market, do surveys, do understand the pulse of what the customer wants, your TG wants, and then you'll build identity. Okay, that exercise of building identity is not on one-sided. You would have done a lot of homework, understand the pulse of the customers, build identity, and communicate it. But if there is a mistake somewhere, sometimes there's a gap between identity and image. Okay, like classic examples, Swapnil and Manas, thank you. Tata Nano, what happened? It was supposed to be the most economical car, a small car, and all of that, right? The word cheap did the damage. The minute it was cheap, the TG to whom it was targeted didn't want to own a first four-wheeler which is cheap, right? So they said, I will buy a second-hand big car, but not a cheap nano car, right? Plus, there were other mistakes. I think if they were targeting to somebody, they asked for loan papers and they asked for all kinds of documents, and some of these people didn't even have those documents. Those were also issues. The segment whom they targeted at that point in time. And plus, there were some, the technical issues also, which had kind of made an impact, right? So there were other things. But clearly, if you look at the brand identity and the execution of it, the word cheap did the damage. A good product with a bad marketing can result in a brand failure. That's an example which is there, which is starting. Okay, so with that, let's move next to understand the various communication channels that brand has. Okay, typically when you're communicating a brand, you could use the emotional route, rational route, because you need not always talk about emotions, but still you will get emotional with the brand, right? Because brand is equal to an emotion. Don't stop branding. Branding is a continuous process, but if you don't have enough emotion in a brand, then branding is not done at all, is what you look at, right? So I'll give you one example. All of you have seen the Axe ad since the last 10 years or so, right? Whatever has been the Axe ad. What is the mode of communication? Emotion, right? They'd put in earlier, it was like showing a male character and how with Axe deodorant, the opposite sex gets attracted, kind of stuff, whatever. Emotion, they wanted to project emotion. Then came a brand called as Fog, F-O-G-G. All of you are aware of this Fog brand, right? What did they advertise? Did they show men using and women coming after them, or women using or men coming after them? Nothing of that sort. They just talked about number of sprays per can. And people said, wow, and bought this brand. And it was the first time that Axe kind of got a competition, which is Fog. Look at the two routes of brand communication. Axe, emotional route. Fog, a product like Fog, a deodorant, which is, you don't think so much before you buy a deodorant, except for how is the fragrance, right? Fragrance is important, nothing else. Or maybe the size, will it go into my pocket or into my bag if you're traveling, kind of stuff, all such kind of stuff. But number of sprays, do you think of number of times you can use the toothpaste when you buy a Colgate or a whichever close-up or something like that? We don't work like that. Our minds don't work like that, right? So Fog made customers think money, think a little bit of economics, think a little bit of rationality, and it was a hit. So every brand can have a emotional route and a rational route. Okay, so this is something which is a part of the brand building as well. So when it comes to brand communication, there can be a cultural route as well. Like a lot of course, culture has rationality because it's become a part of the ecosystem in a particular nation or in a region or something like that. Plus, it's heavily emotional, like festivals and it could be not just festivals and religion. It could be the way of life as well. For when you're talking about various audiences, Gen Z's way of living is different from Gen X way of thinking because of the kind of exposure, kind of needs which are there. Digital natives to digital immigrants, or different psychographics which are there. So there could be a cultural take to a brand when you are marketing it. That also could be another. Okay, so we are talking about rational, emotional, and cultural also, which is a combination which can be a route to communicating a brand. So now let's talk a little bit about strong brands. How do we build this strong brand? Because I told you right in the beginning, and all of us agreed that what is branding? Branding is a process where you actually involve in various activities to build strong brands or build brand equity, build brand value, right? So how do you build these strong brands? What are these variables which will help us understand strong brands? I'll give you, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am. Priya this side from the Upgrad team.
Yes, Priya.
Ma'am, can I just launch the poll because I have a parallel session to attend, so I might not be able to have two Zoom accounts on the.
Sure. Guys, is it okay if we go up to 12:45? I hope I'm not going to get into your lunch break or something. Yeah. Okay.
Fine, ma'am.
Yeah.
No problem, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm really sorry to break the flow of your session, ma'am.
It's okay.
Hi, folks. There would be an end session poll I would request you to fill. I would not take much of your time because you're already, I don't want to break the flow of the session. So it would be great if you can give the survey, guys.
Excuse me. I happened to close that window of the poll. So could you resend it, please?
Sorry?
The window popped up for the poll, but then I closed it. So do I have a link to get back to it?
Is it not visible to you or something?
No, it came in, but I closed it thinking it was some other window.
No issues. It's fine. No issues.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I've taken the poll. I've saved it in the portal. No issues.
Okay, thank you. So now I think these are technical things in between, so we have to take a break. Okay, now back to building strong brands, right? So we need to understand what are the elements of the brand that we need to keep in mind to build strong brands. First of all, the kind of brands that we talked of with the 4 examples of Maggi, Thar, Netflix, and Vicks Action 500. Maggi, all of you were absolutely bang on. You knew which one was it. Netflix, all of you had no doubts about what Netflix is. Thar, the minute I mentioned Thar, 1 or 2 of you asked, is it the vehicle Thar? Okay, I understood, because some people maybe are far away from the brand, but it was not as quick and prompt as Netflix and Maggi for everybody, but Thar was at the next level. Vicks Action 500, very easily some of you took it to be Vicks Vapor, right? So I'll give you 4 words and then see, and you evaluate these 4 brands. Uniqueness, relevance, knowledge, esteem. I'll explain what the 4 terms are. Uniqueness is the minute you see the brand, you know what it is. And Netflix, vis-a-vis Hotstar, Amazon Prime, you know what's the difference. The red N comes to your mind and you clearly can make out Netflix. Maggi, any other noodles which are there, Top Ramen and all, you know what is Maggi. Yellow, you can clearly make out the difference. There's something unique. 2-minute Maggi noodles is something which comes to your mind, right? So uniqueness is there. Is it relevant to you? That's the word unique, okay? Differentiation or uniqueness. Vicks Action 500, took some time, you saw just the word Vicks and you completed it for yourself, right? Because top of the mind recall is Vicks Vapor Up and not Vicks Action 500. Why? Because the relevance was lesser for you, okay? Vicks Action 500 is not something that it has to be in your pocket every day. Maybe to an extent, Vicks Vapor Up is there because it's already rainy season, and if it rains, you get a cough, congestion, then maybe Vicks Vapor Up helps. So that's something which is relevant. So hence that was the top of the mind recall. Maggi, all-time relevant. Hunger can appear anytime, easiest way of eating something hot. Netflix, easiest way of entertaining yourself when no friends are there and you're stuck at home. Yes, there is something. Relevance high, right? Whereas Thar, unless you have seen it, developed a liking, and you are wanting to, you love driving, you love traveling, there have to be a couple of things before it becomes relevant to you. For some of you it's relevant, maybe not all of you are a TG for Thar here probably, right? So that is relevance. You understood the term relevance. Knowledge and esteem. Knowledge about the brand, knowing about the brand, whatever it stands for, as to what the brand has communicated. With a little bit of probing, all of you knew what Vicks Action 500 is. Okay. Recall was lesser of Vicks Action 500 because it went to Vicks Vapor Up. But recognition of the brand with some aids that I gave you, I mentioned, okay, this is what it is, the medicine. Immediately, all of you could remember Vicks Action 500, right? So knowledge is high because knowledge is a function of recall and recognition and brand associations, right? So the recall and recognition of all the 4 brands was high, which is brand knowledge. And last, esteem. The brands which I mentioned are well-known brands with high esteem because they've been in existence for a longish time. They're not a 1 or 2 year old brand, but some of the 1 or 2 year old brand like Zepto for that matter, everybody recollects, right? So the esteem, you still don't say that esteem is a fantastic brand and a great brand. Maybe you'll say that for Uber, you'll have some opinion about Uber, right? Because Uber or Airbnb, whatever you've had it, because there has been some time that has passed. Whereas for a totally new brand, uniqueness and relevance is high. Zepto relevance is high because it gives you within it seems the shortest time of delivery is 8 minutes for 57 seconds or something. Okay, so clearly you do, those of you who have used Zepto, you will vouch for the brand Zepto, right? Because of its uniqueness and relevance. But knowledge and esteem needs to be built. So this is a growing strong brand, which is Zepto. So for strong brands to be built, essentially uniqueness, relevance, knowledge, and esteem has to be there. But for growing strong brands, uniqueness and relevance is high. For fading strong brands, like, you know, if you look at faded strong brands, Ambassador, it was bought by Peugeot for 80 crores, right? Just 80 crores. It feels very bad. Ambassador, right? Yes, Hindustan Motors. So the brand Ambassador was sold a few years ago. So right now, if anybody asks you if you want, would you buy an Ambassador if it is brought in front of you? You'd say no, because it's not relevant for you. Even though you'll talk about it, because my great-grandfather, my grandfather, all of them had an Ambassador. That was their first car. All that happens, right? But it's not relevant any longer. Knowledge and esteem is high of HMT, gramophone. Knowledge and esteem is high. So what happens is for older brands, if you don't do enough, your uniqueness and relevance will fade, and knowledge and esteem will keep growing. So growing brands, unique and relevance is high. You have to make your effort to build knowledge and esteem as well. For fading brands, knowledge and esteem is high, like Amul for that matter. But Amul's uniqueness and relevance is also very good. It is strong on all 4 parameters because they have made that effort continuously, right? So those are examples of completely strong brands, growing brands, and fading brands. So these are elements, some basic elements of strong brands which are there, the dimensions of strong brands. And very important are also the branding elements of name, logo, sign, symbol, and all, because but it's hygiene. It's a requirement and it has to stand out. It plays a role. Okay. So when, if at all, if you were to say that the elements of a brand like color, logo, etc. are not important, just try driving a car with 3 wheels. Can you? No. So sometimes you just take, or a pin is a small pin, right? You put it at the end of a chair and try sitting on it. It's uncomfortable, you can't, right? So when you're talking about some small elements also become significantly important because it's like a cogwheel. Without a particular element, it just doesn't kind of move. So it's a part of the system and you'll have to pay attention. You should remember that, okay? So with that, let me stop now. What I'm going to do in my next class when I meet you for branding metrics is, I will talk to you about the brand equity model. I'm not starting right now. I just show you the brand equity model, and we'll start with that, and then we will talk about brand equity model. Now I'll show you that just to tell you the process of how branding happens. Okay. So with that, I will close the session. But once again, let me just share the slide. Just a second. So all of you, I can see that you can see my slide. So here's the Keller's brand equity model, which is there in the strategic brand management text which is there. Why I'm just sharing this with you at this point is, if you look at the stages of brand development, they go through these stages. Okay, you move from top of the mind salience or top of the mind awareness to ultimate resonance through, say, a rational route or an emotional route. Okay, and at each stage of building identity, building meaning, building response, building relationship, there's a branding objective which is there. You want to build a deep, broad brand awareness. You want to create points of parity and points of difference. Points of parity saying that you belong to a particular category, belong to a particular product. You are a detergent. If a new detergent comes in saying that I am a competitor for Ariel and Tide, you will have to say that there has to be points of parity, and then say how you differentiate yourself from competition, right? And then elicit positive and accessible reactions from customers and build intense active loyalty. So these stages, objectives which are there at each stage to build brand resonance. Okay. So let me stop here and just tell you the summary saying what we've done so far. We've talked about that first one, familiarity breeds content. Familiarity breeds confidence for brands. Yes, the proverb is familiarity breeds content. We understood what is marketing, branding, advertising, how brand image is built through the marketing mix elements, 4 Ps. What are the brand communication paths? Emotional, rational, cultural. What are the elements of strong brands and that brand equity model? This much is what we did today. Okay? And post this, you will have this project which is decoding the brand using 4 Ps of the marketing mix. The brand is Mini Cooper, and you'll get that on your interface from the Upgrad team. And you will need to kind of complete this and submit accordingly. Okay. So with that, I think I had a great time with all of you. Hope there has been a bit of a clarity on fundamentals of branding to begin with. And I know you have a fantastic set of sessions that are lined up. Some of my colleagues are going to come and talk to you, as well as some people from the industry will come and talk to you about how they have been actually practicing various functions in brand communications management. And then I will come in maybe after a few weeks, almost 2 months, to engage in a discussion on understanding metrics. Okay. So with that, let's stop here, and lovely interacting and listening to all of you, and also seeing some faces. I almost feel that I know you now. Thank you, and have fun till then. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.